Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you happen to find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world we're in, this is another scene for Darkness in Dublin, the Mage venue. This evening, our mages find themselves, well, maybe not yet, but at least one of our mages is currently sitting at the Green Dragon Bar, as she often does to kind of relax after a day of gathering herbs and whatnot. And I will let Mr. Theodus do his intro. I'm assuming this is before the Ishar stuff, by the way.
Yeah. This hasn't really touched the Aisha stuff yet, apart from that one time he broke into his house. That was sad. And he did show up at the asylum at one point.
Yeah.
Because, it was Theodus that blew them up with glorious unlimited power. In the form of fire as opposed to lightning. But, say la vie. Theodus can just be seen toddling into the bar.
Toddling. I like that word.
Yeah, toddling. He moves at a very slow pace, given the fact that his legs have a very tenuous tenuous connection to his nervous system. So he moves very slowly and doesn't put much pressure on them. Just using his walking stick, which is quite it's quite elaborate. It has old symbology and linguistics written onto it. So much so that they look more like symbols than anything else. They don't really look like words or letters. They actually look specifically like symbols, very small symbols that run down the
What language is it?
walking stick. Um,
Because she does speak, write, and read Old Norse.
Not Old Norse. It is
Okay.
Enochian. But
Okay.
Given the nature of a language, I'm not sure if Cassidy would actually recognize what language it is. I don't know.
Yeah, unless it was Old Norse, she wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah, it's very much Enochian is very much symbols as opposed to letters.
Yeah,
That's
if
what the word
she does have the
signifies.
natural linguist merit, but
Okay.
that's one she probably wouldn't recognize just yet.
Yeah, then you'd have a lot easier. Then you'd be able to begin dissecting it at a glance, or at least dissecting its structure and how it works. Maybe it is probably
Yeah.
unlike any language she's seen before, because this is the sort of lettering, air quotes. That's the sort of lettering that Enochian has. It's like, what is that? But yes.
Cassidy would give a little wave from where she's sitting at the bar. A veggie burger sat in front of her. Untouched thus far. She's been eating the fries instead.
Theodus, after giving himself an order, will just head on over to Cassidy and begin toddling. He makes it. Then he looks at Cassidy and he says, "Oh, hello.
Cassidy.
Cassidy, right? We haven't really had a chance to get properly introduced, have we?"
No, the only times we've seen each other have been in, well, crises situations, it seems like.
Hmm. You mind if I take a seat, or?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
Well, not in America anymore, but still pretty sure we're in a free country, so go ahead.
Fair enough. He'll take a seat. Um, and just gently lets the walking stick lean against the seating. I assume the seating's like built into, like, it's kind of like more like a booth.
Yeah, probably.
He just lets it
I
lean.
cannot remember the photo that Evan uses for it, so.
He'll just let it lean against the booth and table.
How have you been after the whole situation?
I undergo a lot of situations. I may need specification.
Well, the last time we saw each other.
Oh, quite well.
Actually, technically, the last time they saw each other has not happened yet, so. Because the last time they actually saw each other was at the barricade.
But we know what you mean.
Hmm. Time before that, which would be, way back during the whole Darcy situation. I am sorry about what happened.
Sorry? What do you mean?
It dawned on me that if he wanted, the keeper could have simply snapped his fingers and it would have all been alright, but he didn't.
Oh,
I know how powerful he is. And never mind.
I'd very much like to learn at some point, and perhaps I'll come to understand this if I live long enough, why the powers that be are so non-interventionist.
For the keeper, it's things that happened a long time ago.
Well, it's always things that have happened a long time ago.
You you don't know who he really is, do you? What other name he's been known by?
I can take a few stabs.
He was once known as Merlin. He's one of the Oracle.
And he didn't even have a star-spangled hat. Disappointed.
Oh, certainly not.
No, because he's not the first godlike entity I've approached that seems to have a penchant for not. It is strange. It is a strange double standard, I see.
I'm planning on approaching him about the upcoming battle to ask for help.
Good luck.
Yeah. We'll see. Fingers crossed I can get him to act.
Well, he was willing to aid us initially with Darcy.
Yes, until, well, he was rather angry.
I know we weren't supposed to mention death. I was unaware of any other rule. Other than the obvious, the self-evident.
Well, placing a soul in a different body is also a definite break of the cycle. Which, to our tradition, tends to be somewhat on the sacred side.
I've heard of the cycle. What is the cycle in your traditions? Because it has posed a very interesting question to me.
The cycle of life and death.
Then what is ascension?
I suppose you're right. Doesn't make much sense, does it?
Doubly
It
so for Merlin.
is Wooloo visible right now?
Um. No, but you do hear in the booth over you. You just kind of hear like a. It's a very slight rustling sound.
Kind of leans and is like, "What on earth is that now noise?"
Oh, oh, there you are. How do you? It always somehow manages to find a way to get behind you without me noticing. It's annoying.
What
And
is it?
he'll just lean over. He'll just lean over the booth. Because Theodis isn't that tall and he's sitting down, so he just kind of has to reach over, and then he just picks up what initially looks like to just be like um a Pikachu-sized ball of wool, which is then built to be a teeny sheep with teeny little horns, and it makes cute noises like ooh.
For the first time, you see Cassidy's eyes kind of widen, and the girliest little squeal escapes her mouth. It's so cute.
Yes, I find it has that effect on people. He just kind of he sets it down next to him and just kind of pets it lightly. Makes like a cute little noise.
Can I pet it?
He's going to. Oh my god, it'll be really fun. I'm half tempted to roll a d10 and ask you to go high or low, and if it's low, he doesn't like you.
Yes, the sheep does not like the vegetarian verbena. So far, the only one who hasn't suggested eating it.
Hey, Theodis hasn't suggested eating it. Theodis is nice.
Yeah, it's just, D'Onofrier and Marin who want to eat it.
Yes, both D'Onofre and Mayrin have suggested eating it for some reason. Theodis will just kind of help it up onto the table. But will just kind of wander towards you, and then it will sit down. It is right next to your plate. It snips your food.
It is a veggie burger, so
Then it smiles. Mm.
she would reach out and pet it.
Mm.
Oh, she's so cute. Is this you're familiar?
It just wound up following me on the street one day when Georgie decided to go off on one against a sideshow. And then they proved to be very, very helpful.
I was there that day.
How did you not notice the sheep before?
I was a little busy being thrown by Georgie.
Oh yes, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That was unpleasant.
Wulu is busy just being Pat. And is quickly just curled up into a little ball to be Pat.
And Cassidy will gladly just sit there and pet it, occasionally nibbling on a fry.
Theodis says yes. That was I must apologize for that. That may have been my fault. It was myself who brought up the fact to Georgie that Saisho deals in trafficking.
She deserved to know.
Well, very much so, given what she'd been dealing with, and it was
He's
rather
a
interesting.
monster.
Well, yes, but contrary to popular belief,
And now he's messed with her mind.
that'll right itself in time.
Hopefully.
Well,
She was at a dinner party with me the other night.
Well, how well did that go?
Very, very poorly. It was
Oh, what
hosted by a reclusive member of the Virtual Adept. A very old member of the Virtual Adept. Considered to be one of the first. He was being held prisoner in his home by a program that he had written. We all assumed it to be some kind of AI initially. Well, I assumed that as well. Technology's not exactly my forte. Turns out this program had a soul. But it wanted to destroy the internet in its entirety in hopes of wiping out the technocracy.
That's a blade that cuts both ways.
Yes, because it could also
Probably wipe
damage
out
anyone's pacemaker or other things that run off of Wi-Fi. or transmitted signals could also be killed.
Doesn't the pacemaker work on an internal battery?
Yes, but some of them also receive external signals. Newer ones do, anyway. It's the one area of technology I actually have some experience with.
Remind me not to go to Himalayas of an updated pacemaker.
Yes, they could reason even a insulin pump could reasonably be hacked now. Probably why I insist on keeping all of my paperwork offline.
But, okay. This seems like
I
a
ended
very...
up with a lot of paradox that night.
I can imagine.
Because a lot of people required healing, and, well, life is kind of my specialty.
I guessed. Well, the desire is quite interesting. Without a soul,
We did end up having to take it offline, so to speak. Damien. I don't actually know what tradition he's with, but red hair, pale skin. He's been in here a lot lately as well. Actually, he was here when Merlin possessed me momentarily. That was interesting. I hate when he does that. But he used some kind of magic, I'm not sure. I believe it was. I believe he called it Kill the Machine.
killed a machine.
Yes, it takes out something technological, one would assume,
Hmm.
and ceases it functioning. He did the same to the automated wheelchair of the virtual adept. Of course, that was to save his life. It was also where a majority of my healing went. The chair was hooked up to the. I keep calling it a program, but that's just what I'm going to call it because I don't know what to actually call it. It sent enough electricity through him that it would have killed him had I not stopped it.
Hmm.
Through his chair.
I should probably make myself a forces shield to deal with that at some point.
Mm, very true.
I need to collapse my various rituals onto each other. I believe I've overcompensated in a lot of areas.
Understandable. Better to overcompensate than undercompensate.
Hmm. It's becoming more difficult to extend rituals onto myself. I did wish to empower my mind so as to better prepare myself for the battle that is to come.
Yes, I do recall something about this Ishar fellow having abilities that can affect the mind.
It's not. No, not the mind. Well, yes, the mind as well, but more importantly, the spirit. Actually, did intend to speak with you at some point about that, as I'm not particularly well versed in the art of spirit, but I do require, or I would like. I'm not here to demand anything. I would appreciate a means in which to shield my spirit from his attacks. He seems to possess the ability, upon touching someone, can effectively override their soul.
Oh my. Yes, I might be able to do something about that. I'm not the most well adept at spirit. For that, you may want to talk to, oh, hell, Duncan. Yes, that was his name.
What's Cassidy's level of spirit?
3. Duncan's is 4.
Oh. You're
Also,
like 2
Cassidy
levels
does
above
not
what you
have
need to be to have that effect. Get out of here.
true. But she has no prime.
Yeah, let me see. I think you just need matter to imbue it into an object.
She also doesn't have matter.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I guess
Yeah,
you can
she
cast it. You
she
can cast it on me.
has 3 life, 3 spirit, 1 mind, 1 forces, and a buttload of quintessence.
Okay. She could, in theory, cast it directly on Theodos, but he appears to have several rituals on him already, so it'd be at a higher diff.
Mm,
Granted, it doesn't need to be for very long. It just needs to be for the actual battle.
yeah, she could do it that night while they're preparing.
It only needs to be for a night, maybe just a few days, to compensate for the fact that for the potential that time may not work the way it does in that space.
Yeah.
But yes, I'd be happy to compensate with some effect myself.
I could teach you spirit.
Hmm. Well, if we're to teach each other, I would be more than happy to trade knowledge. Of course, I believe the way in which you cast magic may be quite different than the way in which I cast magic.
Probably. It's pretty clear we are very different people, but
Hmm.
as she's talking, she's kind of playing with a pentacle that she wears around her neck.
I never moved off Wooloo. Wooloo's asleep now. Fallen asleep. All sheep
Yep,
is just
she
napping.
she has been petting it the entire time, and then the other hand is playing with the pentacle.
I think we have some similarities, but at least he kind of gestures towards your pentacle. I believe it's largely more surface level than anything else.
Yes. As he motions to the pentacle, she gets this kind of almost sad look that comes over her face.
What's the matter?
Oh, it's this was made for me by someone I cared about quite deeply.
Yeah, my apologies. Didn't mean to pry.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's just coming very close to the anniversary of his death. So, and my awakening.
Hmm. Fetus represses the urge to say fascinating. Because it is to him, but
Yeah. She has a
again,
rather interesting backstory.
one could call it fascinating. I awakened when, well, it was rather odd. I was just walking down Trinity University, the hallway. I was walking down Trinity University. I was heading to the library, and then ended up being transported to a completely different place and time.
Hmm. Intriguing. Sounds like
Yes,
yours was infinitely more pleasant than mine was.
I believe it. Hard I believe it may have been Ireland in the low Middle Ages, if I were to take a rough guess.
Hmm.
I understood the language they spoke in to a very, very rough degree.
Ah, you speak
Wasn't
Gaelic?
I speak many, many languages.
Suppose that's something we could also trade. Unless you already know Old Norse.
I do.
Ah, impressive. It's not one that's terribly common.
Well, I found myself learning a lot of uncommon languages as of late. I guess I could be considered something of a polyglot.
Ah,
It's semi-relevant in my line of work. Before this entire situation happened, I've had to travel a fair bit, and I've also I've also needed to translate various findings. Um, I'm a historian, so
ah.
I know some fairly old words. Not all of them, admittedly. Although I do have a rather lovely item which allows me to read just about anything.
Oh, that's certainly interesting.
Hmm. Yes, one could call it a gift.
Oh,
I'm not sure who from.
hmm. Perhaps one day you'll find out.
Then I used it, and then it ended up summoning Aisha to my home.
Oh dear.
Hmm.
Well,
That
that's
ended,
certainly not good.
no, it ended extremely poorly. But it has given me knowledge that may prove critical in the very near future. So, it's not all downside. as Theodus receives his order, which is not vegetarian. Sadness.
She does not judge.
Aww, it's sweet.
She is, one of those that is like, I will not pester you about becoming a vegetarian if you don't pester me about my choices.
And I need to go for a few minutes, hopefully not too long. I'm gonna switch to Wooloo temporarily. Look, it's a Wooloo.
And during this time, Cassidy's just gonna pet the Wooloo.
Yay! See you in a bit. Lulu.
Welcome back.
I was gone a long time.
You were.
Sorry.
This scene's
I'm-
gonna seem a lot longer than it actually
Yeah, I'm sure everything will be fine, and I can totally. I'm sure the viewers will trust that this video will be edited appropriately.
You think I'm gonna no. Mm-mm.
Oh no! It looks like you are the host, and you'll be receiving the YouTube video. Old knows. Well, I would edit it if I could, but it appears the video is yours. Lulu.
But yes, where were we?
This is a good question. Oh, it's the battle ahead. Something to do with Aisha.
Yes.
Knowledge.
Yes. They were talking about, trading languages and knowledge and whatnot.
No, and Theodis will just go as the sheep wakes up and begins heading back towards Theodis now. It kind of nuzzles you with its nose, and then it will head back to Theodis and stick to his hip, as if his waist is a comfy pillow.
It's sort of odd. I never would have pictured a hermetic ending up with something quite so cute.
I believe everybody, including myself, is as confused as you are. Apart from this little guy here, he appears to know just fine. He thinks very fuzzy thoughts.
Ah, yes, the bond of a familiar. You get to know what that little guy's thinking.
He's thinking of wool. Fluffy in both thought and in both mind and body, I suppose.
Certainly not like you.
No, I consider myself quite prickly. I have no idea why such a fluffy individual would be so enamored with me, but I am grateful. He pats the Wooloo. But as my mentor said, fate is weird like that.
Oh, D'Onofrio is your mentor, yes?
Yes, although probably not for much longer, if I live.
Oh, come now, you'll be fine. Have a little faith. If not in some higher power, in yourself.
Neither my mind nor my body is well equipped to deal with what is ahead. I have considered having it rewritten so that I would not be a liability to the rest of the group, or just not to go at all.
I suppose in the end that's up to you. I will be on hand for healing if necessary. Not within the battles themselves, but as
The
I am
last
not not made for war. My opposition to violence is, well, has been seen fairly clearly several times.
I suppose we all have our demons.
Indeed.
I could. The last time I met one of those outsiders, when Aisha broke into my home, he did something to me. Or perhaps I did something to myself. Not entirely sure.
Cassidy would kind of reach out and take his hand and squeeze it gently.
He rejects that.
Okay. She would kind of pull her hands back.
It's
I'm
not a violent
sorry.
reaction, he just looks irritated.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you.
It's quite alright. But
I tend to forget that not everyone's the touchy-feely kind.
yes, do not let my familiar deceive you. Meanwhile, his familiar is like, but fluffy friends, take hand. And Beatrice is like, not now, friendly neighborhood sheep.
Is your familiar badgering you about not accepting comfort?
With the friendly farm, with the friendly farmyard animals, please stop seizing the moral high ground. Uh, but yes, he simply says, Aisha showed me where those things live.
Oh my. Don't forget he did have an encounter with one of them after that as well.
Oh no, he's about to get to that.
Ah,
And ever since then, I have been. I hesitate to use the phrase because it is ever so well, overused, but scarred. The last time I met one of those things, I flew into a panic without even realizing what was happening.
well, the mind can sometimes do that. A mind can be scarred just like a body.
I always prided myself on the fact that my mind was rather. Well, okay, this is going to sound arrogant, but impeccable as opposed to my rather contorted body, to put it politely. But even that is no longer the case, although I suppose I have grown in my understanding regardless.
Well, if you need to talk, I'm here.
And I'm grateful.
You'd notice that for once she's actually not wearing a long sleeve. It's only about a three-quarter sleeve, and there are some very distinct burn scars on her forearms.
Hmm.
If you didn't know any better, you'd say they were probably from cigarettes.
Because of the shape.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. He notes them. He doesn't bring it up. All the more incentive for me to master my abilities then.
Then I'll help you master spirit. And you can help me with, well, I actually don't know what all you know.
Well, despite my proclivity towards study in academia uh, and more passive exercise, my greatest capacity appears to be for burning things down.
Oh
I, sup-
dear.
I suppose you could consider it uh, the manifestation of critical thinking taken to its logical extreme. But yes, I'm quite good at that. Although, I suppose the tradition I belong to has always been renowned for its power over physical entities.
Yes, you are hermetic. They are quite known for their, I suppose, intensity in that realm. Just as my tradition is more known for its mastery of life. Learning all that I can from my mentor. And heavens, does he have a lot to teach.
Oh, I can imagine. But yes, outside the power of forces, my talents lie with the art of a fundament and that of time.
Ah, all interesting. And things that I don't know. So, well, I know a little bit about the art of forces. Not much. That meaning she has forces 1. I know a little bit about mind and a little bit about forces, but spirits and life are my most knowledgeable areas.
Arts, I have discovered I have absolutely no talent for, funnily enough.
I can help with that.
Unskilled with spirit or life. Spirit merely because I've not studied it enough, and a lot of my talents seem to fold into each other rather neatly. Spirit lies somewhat outside of it. I don't intend to get to it. Life, I am just fundamentally inept at, it seems.
Perhaps you just didn't have the right teacher.
Denoffer has never been one for for spirits, no. But I do believe she is more talented at life than I am. Though at some point I shall master it, as I shall all things. Which
Your
OC is
drive
very
is intense.
OC, also an extremely Tremere statement to make.
Very.
The world cannot be healed, only mastered, said evil wizard man with his evil wizard hat.
very, very Tremere statement to make. I mean, they were hermetics once upon a time.
Yes, I suppose if you'd be receptive, I could teach you. Again, it depends on how you'd learn and how you weave your arts. If they are fundamentally different, I'm not sure how much we could do other than simply exchange how we do it respectively.
Indeed. I tend to use, well, suppose you'd consider them kind of low magic. Oh, you're fine. Come here.
I wouldn't really consider there to be low magic or high magic. It's just magic. It's mysticism, it's power.
Yes, it's odd. I met an Aetherite recently who seems convinced that the things we do aren't magic.
Oh, who is this?
I can't remember his name.
Was he a doctor?
I think so.
Did his last name begin with an E?
No, it was not Dr. Energon.
That
I
is
think
a
he was a
terrible shame.
friend of his, though.
Ah, okay. Yes, I met Dr. Energon a great deal of time ago. I haven't really had a chance to pick up with him since. We do actually have a lot to discuss.
Yes, I believe it was a friend of his, though.
I suppose. I suppose from their perspective it wouldn't be. After all, what is it? The Clark's law?
I believe it was what he said was magic doesn't exist. And I simply gave him a very odd look.
Well, one could argue that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It's possible we are simply utilizing incredibly advanced technologies and methodologies that have been lost to the past, as opposed to having been made within the present. But I would disagree. I believe magic and science exist on two separate planes, although the distinction is often thin and nebulous.
Especially given the technocracy.
Yes.
I suppose the Aetherites are somewhat similar in that.
Well, do not misunderstand. The democracy are very much mages.
Oh, of course they are.
They will never admit it
Oh no.
because they have censored their own history to an astonishing degree. Of course, ultimately, those at the top control is aware of the truth, although it's questionable as to whether many of those at the top are technocrats at all.
Oh.
He will not elaborate. Because Technocracy Law 5 does not come without massive strings, like gaining a 5-dot enemy. And he may or may not be aware of suspicions within the technocratic upper management of their leaders being potentially nephantic in nature? No.
Mm.
Well, ultimately, it could be considered once you reach a sort of all beings who progress beyond a certain point of understanding come to similar conclusions, which can segregate them from the rest of us.
This is true.
Yes.
Mm.
It is sometimes concerning knowing how close the Sons of Ether are to the technocracy in many ways. But I suppose ultimately the one defining difference between them is they believe in a broader, more colourful picture, whereas the technocracy can only see its own. They are willing, I suppose to put it in a very Etherite way. They are acceptance and even enthusiastic for the inclusion of variables within their own environment.
Mm.
Whereas the technocracy would demand a complete cessation of all variation. The homogenization taken as to its logical conclusion.
Dr. Miller, that was it.
Miller heard of the man, never met him. Heard him once, but can't remember where from. May have been in a conversation somewhere.
Interesting man.
I'm sure he is. Remember when I met Miss Dr. Energon? Very, very interesting man. Very respectable man. I have more respect for Dr. Energon than I have the vast majority of mages I've ever met.
I still need to sit down with Master Siren at some point.
Yes. Need to catch up with him and arrange a proper tour of his library.
Oh, I've seen the inside of that library. It's massive.
I've been there once. I need to go there again and start properly reading up. Maybe I would even be permitted to transcribe.
Person could get lost in a place that big.
I can only imagine. I really can only imagine. Wish to have a library that grand someday. I have a very small one right now. It's more of a collection than a library. Much prefer something more significant. I must get to work on that once I am done. Once we are done with this vampire. And once we are done with Lord Sideshow doing something to piss off somebody else again. I'm amazed he has not died.
Well, be glad you're not the last person who challenged him to a one-on-one fight.
Was the oh. No, I prevented the last one. What was the other one?
I mean, before Georgie did.
Oh, who challenged him then?
I believe he goes by the name Hyun. He's now dead. Or undead. I don't know.
He's a vampire, a wraith. What?
I think he may be a zombie, as odd as that sounds.
Concerning. I don't see why everybody plays Lord Saishield his own game. Makes no sense to me.
But yes, he did not survive the fight. From what I heard, Lord Saisho broke his neck.
Well, of course he did. Such are the methods of barbarians masquerading as the pinnacle of a civilized society. There you go, I suppose. Then again, I suppose my response to certain entities has just been to throw fireballs at them, so... Ultimately, I dislike Lord Saisho. I have little intention of killing him, though.
Well, I certainly
prefer...
don't intend to kill him, as well. It's simply not in my nature, but...
I'd prefer to understand the man more so than anything else. He clearly has a drive of some sort that goes beyond the simple acquisition of power. I'm curious as to what that is.
Not terribly fond of the idea that he trades in human lives.
Who with a conscience would be?
True.
It is a trade made by and built for the willfully ignorant and psychotic.
Though I suppose, given that vampires exist, not something I ever thought I would say. Then again, look at us.
I've met a few. They tend to be a nuisance. My shark,
Hey,
case in point.
Katja was nice to him.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't outright rude.
No, she was.
She
She
was
wasn't violent
defensive.
towards him. She was rude. And Theodis
She
is
was
like, I will throw the
defensive.
fireball, shut up.
She was defensive because guess what? Certain things, have to be kept quiet. But she figured once you guys already realized that, vampire, might as well tell you.
It's not like I can sense you on sight. Hey, uh... Hey.
She wasn't rude, she was just defensive.
It's okay.
There is a difference.
Pat, there. Look at the Bulu. Theodis will just,
So you've met a few of them.
Oh, yes, they have been less than helpful, by and large. One was quite skilled.
Oh?
Seemed to be some sort of, as one of their abilities. Grey-haired, middle-aged man, pointed ears, elven-looking, actually rather fey-looking, pale and wan, but not still very much vampire.
Interesting.
Although I believe they prefer to call themselves kindred. Yes, that is what Damien told me.
Kindred.
Also ran into a few at the auction. In fact, it was a rather hideous-looking one with a large hat and a mask or lower face mask that bid me up on one of my items at the auction for held by Rumpelstiltskin.
It still seems so odd that. I suppose I'm still getting used to all of this. It's only been a few years.
I mean, I've only been a mage for about a couple years.
Coming up on 6 for myself.
Oh, you're 3 times my age in mage years. But yes, I believe lupines are also extant. Ran into a few of those. I say I saw a few of them. I haven't seen them.
Oh my.
Don't know what they can do other than that they exist.
I
The
mean, you
Fae
did see a little bit of what Max could do at the asylum. And you saw
Oh
Katya
yeah,
bring
true.
him
Yeah.
down.
Yes, it was my. Yeah, no, I did run into one of these summons masquerading as a dog. Funnily enough.
Oh, heavens. Okay, I will have to watch myself around dogs from now on.
German, yeah, yeah. If a German Shepherd starts following you around suspiciously, it's probably a werewolf. Probably that
Oh
specific
dear.
werewolf. Yes, he had his soul ripped out and his body turned into some sort of possessed tool for Aisha. Before then, being promptly put into sleep by one of the kindred.
Hmm. Useful skill to have, I suppose.
Well, it's either that or I just telekinetically fling him 5 miles over the city.
Now. Don't be mean.
It's not about being mean, it's about ensuring the safety of everybody in the building.
Well, if she managed to knock him out, it seems that that was taken care of.
Hmm,
If
that is
they,
fortunate. I was
she would have said
concerned.
they, because he didn't specify, so she would have said they.
Fine. Well, I'm glad they didn't wake up. Other than that, oh yes, I have ran into the Fae at the auction. I took their map. They don't like me for that.
Oh, the Fae, huh? Interesting.
Yes, of course they have no one to blame but themselves. It was of all individuals, it was a kindred who bid me up on a map for that originally belonged to the Fae. Surely they would wish to
Question.
do something on it.
This Fae-looking kindred, could it be possible that they were simply a Fae who didn't know they were Fae?
Possibly,
Hmm.
but
Intriguing.
they
Something I'd
very
like to
much
study.
they very much believe themselves to be kindred. It is something worth studying. At some point, I must see if I can obtain some kindred blood. It is filled. Their blood is filled with contestants. I,
Really?
I would like to discover why that is.
Hmm. How odd.
Hmm.
I suppose I've never actually looked at one of them. I've never actually seen one of them.
But yes, I believe they may be my least favorite of the whole bunch that I've met so far. If only because they seem very touchy about an issue that they could have easily resolved and just decided not to because they were lazy and entitled.
I mean, to be fair, Katya couldn't have solved it. Not her fault. She got here after.
Who got here after?
Katya didn't get here till after Aishar showed up.
Oh no! He's talking about the Fae and him taking their map by just bidding more on the map and then being salty about it.
Mm. So the Fae are your least favorite, huh?
Only based on first impressions. I know none of them. Granted, I don't really care that much for them. Maybe they care more for me because I possess their map, but it's not like they're ever going to see it again. Unless they bargain for it, I suppose.
I was gonna say you could give them an offer of a price.
But I will be exploring Beshmara. Then I suppose it will all come down to whether... Well, I suppose I could let them in after.
That's something I'd like to accompany you on, if you don't mind.
It would be very, very useful to have someone on hand who knows how to deal with spirits. I believe we'll be entering a different plane, as it were. So
Then I suppose having me around would be useful.
I'm
Especially if
handy.
I get her seeking done before then.
Yeah, I might actually have another seeking done as well by the time we get this map plot going.
Well, this will be her first seeking.
Ooh.
Because she started at 3 Irrite. What's the matter?
No, Babby, you don't get your seeking yet. You need to wait another 17 years.
You can't have a seeking yet. You're too little. You're too little.
Little Babby.
You too little.
Look at the cute familiar. Don't you want this to be a familiar, Babby? Get the Wooloo friend. Or do you want two familiars? Yes, two familiars. But anyway. This will just go. Yes, I may arrange a return trip after the fact if it's possible. I may even, if there are items or artifacts that are irrelevant to me, I may even see if I can find the appropriate fate to bargain over it. In fact, actually, why better yet, why not simply trade it to
Trade it back to Rumple.
Well, he knows all of the supernaturals, and I do not. That and I owe him about 7 favors.
No, mine. It's a lot of favors. And I assume his favors aren't easy things to take care of.
Mine are not too significant. They will need to be... they'll need to be accounted for, but they are hardly... Oh, he only has 6, it's fine. They'll need to be accounted for, but they're not too significant.
Good.
I did not go all in.
That you owed what seems to be such a dangerous being too much.
You should have seen what Dr. Energon offered. And
Really?
9.
Wait, Cypher 9.
They were at the auction.
Oh my. That's not good.
No. Energon got into a bidding war with Cypher 9.
I imagine that made him a bit of a target.
Yes, well, I may have helped.
Oh dear.
Not by much. All of the credit goes to Dr. Energon on that one, because he won.
Impressive.
It took him a portion of his avatar, his sanctum, and his ability toward an affinity sphere.
Oh no.
Because that's what happens when you're going up against bids that include the access sequences to control and an entire avatar.
I don't think I could ever give up part of my avatar.
I believe he also sacrificed his first familiar, which causes Lulu to shiver nervously.
She would reach out and pet the Wooloo.
He rustles the Wooloos if it's like, it's okay, I wouldn't do that. Reassuring pats to Wooloo, and Wooloo is now happy. But that is why I respect Energon.
Yes, he gave up quite a lot.
It takes an incredible amount of conviction to make such stark sacrifices.
As Evan put it, set his sheet on fire.
Nah, I believe he was um just gonna take his sheet and shoot it with a shotgun.
literally just like set his character sheet on fire.
Oh, bad. Props. But yeah, Theodis just goes. To sacrifice so much of yourself to obtain that which you desire, that is a respectable trait.
It is.
And the contents of what he sought, well, I suppose it's public knowledge what he was what Cypher 9 was after. They were after the the files and project diary to the Cypher project, to the Cypher program.
Oh wow, that's. She seems kind of taken aback.
Vidus is gonna roll subterfuge here because, well, he's seen those files. He yeah. Yep. They are things.
Let me get Cassidy's sheet up because that means I gotta do Peony.
I'm probably much better at that than I am at lying because I have full dice. Hooray!
Oh yeah,
Voodoo powers
you
activate.
you kind of suck at lying.
Oh, just poker
And
face.
Cassidy's really good at telling if someone's lying.
The poker face does exist.
Hmm.
He may be the poker face does exist. He got 2 successes. Theodis may also be slightly distracted by the constant fuzzy thoughts of his familiar. Like Theodis' trouble. Familiar's like fluff, fuzz.
He is better at lying than she is, though.
Well, make that roll. Make that roll.
She's got to hold 2 dice. No, not Odessa. Yeah, she sees through that.
He's troubled by something, or something. It's not he's troubled by something. It's you notice when he brings up those when he brings that up, he's very troubled. He does a half decent job of hiding it, but yeah.
Kind of looks at him. Are you sure you're okay?
Oh, me? I'm quite alright. It's the Tyrannosaur I'm worried for.
True. He may have made himself a target for Cypher 9.
To be fair, I believe both of us did.
True, because you did help.
Guess who Theodis' 5-dot enemy is?
Cypher 9?
Maybe. That's gonna be fun. That's not gonna be fun.
No, because, it's going to come back to bite you in a way just like you're like fucking
when I
Francis's enemy did.
When I get correspondence 3 in time 4, it's like I know what spell I'm casting on myself. Whenever initiative is rolled, I get teleported away. um, yeah. But yes.
Well, it was good talking to you, Theodis.
It was. Oh, time flies. I really just kind of gouged through my meal.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, I suppose we will. Suppose the next time we see each other will be on the battlefield, huh?
I suppose so. Would it be okay if I gave you a kiss on the cheek?
He's like, okay. He is emotionally a flat person.
Notice she did ask, you know. She'd lean over and kiss him on the cheek, and then lean down and pet the voodoo.
Ah, Wooloo. 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 It's very happy. Kind of rubs his little head and teeny horns against your hands.
She'd giggle just a little bit because it does kind of tickle.
Kind of makes a cute little jump on all of its legs. Okay, I'm going to take off before you steal my familiar.
I'm not going to steal it.
Everybody wants.
Your familiar is adorable. It's just something you'll have to accept.
Yes, if everybody would stop trying to steal my sheep, I'd appreciate it. It's my sheep.
I was simply petting it. Thank you.
I know a thief's eyes when I see one. He will stand up with his walking stick, and he will just pick up the wooloo, and he will place it on his shoulder.
Have a good evening, Theodis.
Have a good evening.
And with him leaving, I think we can end our scene there.
Yeah, but give it like a good minute or so. It'll take him about a minute to walk out because he's just so fucking slow.
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene for Darkness in Dublin. See you next time.